DMT N Dimethyltryptamine. Basics. Description. N-DMT is a psychoactive chemical in the tryptamine family. It causes intense visuals and strong psychedelic mental effects when smoked, injected, snorted, or when taken orally with an MAOI such as Harmaline. N-DMT is most often called DMT, although this sometimes causes confusion with its more potent chemical cousin, 5-MeO-DMT. N-DMT is present in over 65 species of plants and has been used traditionally in South America and ayahuasca brews since at least the time of first European contact, around 1500, and archaeological evidence suggests its use in snuff since 2080 BCE. Starting in the mid-1980s, N-DMT gained significant notoriety from Terence McKenna's many glowing rants about the strange visions it can precipitate. Following Rick Strassman's research in the early 1990s, and the theories he proposed in his popular 2001 book DMT, The Spirit Molecule, theories that have since been widely promulgated via the internet, DMT has become even more well known in recent years. Dose. A standard dose for smoked N-DMT is between 15 to 60 milligrams. This is generally inhaled in a few successive breaths until the user is unable, or unwilling, to take another hit. Many users report needing to wait an hour or so between attempts, even if effects are not achieved. Price. DMT is sometimes sold by the single dose at events for $10 USD 30. Available retail prices range from $100 to $300 per gram, depending on quality, distance from the manufacturer, and profit motivation of the distribution chain. In recent years, the per gram prices have come down, and $60 grams have been reported. Law. N-DMT is illegal to possess or sell in the United States, Schedule I. It is controlled by the 1971 United Nations Convention on Psychotropic Substances. International law. Australia. South Australia controls any plant containing DMT, including any plant of the species Piptidenia peregrina. Brazil. DMT is listed as a controlled substance, making production, distribution, or possession illegal. Canada. DMT is Schedule III in Canada. Note: Canadian schedules are very different from U.S. schedules. See Law Canada. Denmark. DMT is reportedly on the B list of drugs. Estonia. DMT is Schedule I, illegal. Germany. DMT is listed in Anlage I of the BTMG, making it illegal to possess, purchase, or sell. Italy. Italia, listed in Tabella I of Tabelle del Sistan Stupefacenti e Psychotrope, making it illegal to possess, purchase, or sell. Japan. DMT is probably a controlled substance in Japan, added to the list of controlled drugs in 2000, but we have been unable to confirm this. Despite this, we have received multiple reports that DMT, along with other strong psychoactive, are being sold in shops in Japan. New Zealand. DMT is Schedule I, Class A, in New Zealand. Norway. DMT is Schedule I in Norway and illegal to buy or possess without a special license. Poland. DMT is Schedule I, IP Group, in Poland. Russia. DMT is illegal to buy or possess without a license. DMT is a Schedule I substance in Russia. In August 2016, a Brazilian therapist was detained at a Russian airport with 6.6 liters of ayahuasca. Samples were analyzed and found to contain DMT. He was charged with international drug trafficking and sentenced to 6+ years in prison. As of July 2017, he is seeking an appeal on the premise that the DMT content of the ayahuasca was significantly lower than estimated by Russian officials. Sweden. DMT is regulated by law in Sweden. South Africa. DMT is classified under the Drug and Drug Trafficking Act No. 140. United Kingdom. England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. DMT is Schedule I/Class A in the United Kingdom. It is illegal to buy or possess without a license. Chemistry hash. N-Dimethyltryptamine, N, N-DMT, is a naturally occurring chemical in the tryptamine class. It is related structurally to 5-MeO-DMT, bufotenin, psilocybin, and psilocin. Pharmacology. DMT affects the serotonin 5-HT1A, 5-HT2A and 5-HT2C receptors, the sigma-1 receptors, of which it is the only known endogenous ligand, and the G-protein coupled trace amine, TA, receptors. Production. DMT was first synthesized in 1931 by Canadian chemist Richard H. F. Mansky. The synthesis procedure developed in 1954 by M. E. Speeder and W. C. Anthony has been widely parroted in underground publications from the 1960s and 1970s, and additional routes are described in the 1997 book Tryptamines I Have Known and Loved by Alexander and Ann Shulgin. Although illicit DMT produced during the 1960s through the early 1990s was most often created via chemical synthesis, in recent years, illicit DMT is much more often extracted from plant sources, often by end users who have little or no chemistry background. DMT is also produced as a component of ayahuasca and ayahuasca analog brews made using various DMT-containing plants. History. N-DMT use has been documented as early as the 8th century CE in snuffs found in burial sites, but its use is believed to be much older. Cohoba snuffs, from the Anadenanthera peregrina tree, were documented in Colombia in the 15th through 19th centuries. Bufotenin, N-DMT, and 5-MeO-DMT were finally identified as the active constituents of cohoba in the mid to late 1950s. DMT has a long history dating back thousands of years. Indigenous cultures have often used it as part of religious rituals. For example, there is evidence of its use in Trinidad at the time of Spanish colonists' arrival. The drug is the active ingredient in ayahuasca, a traditional South American brewed tea. People illicitly use DMT for its psychoactive, hallucinogenic effects. Anecdotally, many users report taking the drug to attain spiritual insight. Scientific data suggests its effects on the brain might mimic those of a near-death experience. Research from the 2021 Global Drug Survey found that 7.4% of respondents reported every microdosing with DMT. Microdosing is the practice of taking small doses of a drug to promote insight and creative thinking. Participants reported a lifetime use of 8.9%, with 4.3% reporting use during the last year. Data from this survey indicates use has increased over time, with usage rates similar to methamphetamine. Terminology, slang. The substance. DMT, Dimitri, businessman's special trip, spice. The experience. No consistent, common terms. But terms such as blasting off or entering the void are used. Effects. To quote Terence McKenna, the feeling of doing DMT is as though one had been struck by noetic lightning. The ordinary world is almost instantaneously replaced, not only with a hallucination but a hallucination whose alien character is its utter alienness. Nothing in this world can prepare one for the impressions that fill your mind when you enter the DMT sensorium. The smoked DMT experience is short but generally incredibly intense. Onset is fast and furious, sometimes compared to being launched from a cannon. It is a fully engaging and enveloping experience of visions and visuals that varies greatly from one individual to the next. Users report visiting other worlds, talking with discarnate entities, profound changes in ontological perspective, fanciful dreamscapes, frightening and overwhelming forces, and complete shifts in perception and identity, followed by an abrupt return to baseline. Because of the nature and intensity of the experience, users are almost always seated or lying down with someone nearby to take the pipe as the experience begins. Intense and varied visuals are common. Onset. When smoked, DMT generally reaches full effects within 10 to 60 seconds of inhalation. Duration. The primary effects of N-DMT last approximately 5 to 20 minutes when smoked. For many people there is an additional period of time, 1 to 2 hours, before fully returning to baseline. Some people find DMT experiences difficult to integrate and experience unsettling thoughts and feelings for days after use. Visual effects: brightly colored, high-res detail, geometric, organic, overlapping, and somewhat kaleidoscopic, may be fast or slow-moving, but a sense of motion is often present. Depictions of ayahuasca visions and DMT visions have been featured in the recent films Renegade, 2004, and Enter the Void, 2009. Problems: one of the primary physical problems encountered with smoked or vaporized N N DMT is the harsh nature of the smoke or vapor, which can cause throat and lung irritation. Integration of the smoke/vaporized DMT experience can also cause difficulties for some individuals, especially at higher doses. Challenging integration periods can lead to anxiety, trouble focusing on daily tasks, preoccupation with the experience, difficulty sleeping, etc. Generally, these effects dissipate on their own over the course of a few days, but there have been reports of persisting problems. Contraindications: the effects of smoked N N DMT are dramatically increased if used by individuals currently taking MAOIs. MAOI drugs include the prescription antidepressants Nardil, phenelzine, Parnate, tranylcypromine, Marplan, isocarboxazid, Eldepril, Eldepranil, and Aurora or Manorix, moclobamide, as well as the harmala alkaloids present in Banisteriopsis caapi, ayahuasca, and Peganum harmala, Syrian rue. Check with your doctor if you are not sure whether your medication is an MAOI. Do not stand up. Do not operate heavy machinery. Do not drive. Individuals currently in the midst of emotional or psychological upheaval in their everyday lives should be careful about choosing to use psychedelics such as N N DMT, as they can trigger even more difficulty. Individuals with a family history of schizophrenia or early onset mental illness should be extremely careful because psychedelics have been known to trigger latent psychological and mental problems. Addiction potential: DMT is neither physically addicting nor likely to cause psychological dependence. As with most substances, some people will use them more frequently than they are comfortable with. There may be a short period of tolerance after DMT use. However, Strassman et al. Found in a tolerance study of DMT that 4 successive high-dose 4 injections of DMT administered at 30-minute intervals produced no noticeable tolerance effect. Long-term health problems. Long-term health problems summary needed. Risk of death # Risk of death summary needed. For more drug informational videos like this, please comment and subscribe.